Successfully writing complex programs. This short presentation is inspired by my students who are eager to move through the course, so eager that they might skip, a paragraph, a page, or even an entire section, an EI Max lab. This is for them. Uh, let's take a look at what can be the equivalent of a complex program. Imagine yourself starting out on this journey, on this screen, without a compass, without a map, right? In fact, you don't even have an idea of how vast the territory is. You don't even know how big this forest may be. Okay? This is what some, some of our students are attempting to do when they write a complex program. So one of the number one, the number one thing that I do when I get ready to write a complex program is I develop a plan. Nothing really sophisticated. I find one thing to be true, and if you look on the left side of the screen, I find to be true that if you cannot put the steps of the program in plain language, you know, plain language, right? How would you expect yourself to then be able to write that same program coded? It sounds, when you put it that way, it sounds rather absurd, right? Of course, if you can write it in program code, you can write it in plain language, but if you can't even write it in plain language, right? How do what are you asking of yourself? Are you asking the impossible? So I like pseudocode. This is pseudocode for a simple program that validates email addresses and written out into plain text. And you can take the pseudocode, you can run it by a friend, you can run it by a fellow programmer, right? Do these steps make sense? What am I leaving out? Am I leaving out any big things, right? And you can allow people who are not even programmers to sort of tell you if you're leaving things out, if your plan makes any sense at all. Okay. And then once you're confident that you have a plan, right, your pseudocode, okay, gets translated over here into comments. You put in your comments and then you begin, right? What goes here, right? If it's a short program, right? Public class, right? And you begin to program, right? Main method, right? Right here. And you begin to program under those comments. This will even allow you to take inventory. So you come back over to your pseudocode and you say, all right, step 4, you know, you're being honest with yourself. You're saying step 4, I don't remember all of the steps, but I do remember that was in module 3. Okay. So you go to the table of contents and you can find it that user input is in section 3.07, right? And then you want to, step 6, check the stored response to see if it is a valid email address, right? Definitely going to need conditional statements from module 4, right? Which one? Okay. There's the if else, and the if else if. You can go through them to see which one is appropriate. You can begin to build up what you need before you attempt to go over here and write. Okay. I hope this makes a lot of sense. When you send me your code for help and you're programming up under the comments, I can see what each section is supposed to do. I can check your pseudocode. I can check even, I can rewind you to see if you're even have if your plan is good. If you need to maybe change some things in your plan. I can't do that when you don't do this. It's very hard to help you. Okay. Let's take a look at a tough program. These are the assignment instructions for 6.04. Right? That's a lot. Those of you who've been here, you already know. Okay? That's a lot. One of the more complex programs in semester 1. We go back to this wilderness. Okay? If you get out in the middle of this wilderness without a plan, without preparation, you know, no one may be able to save you. You know, God forbid. It's the same thing with these large programs. If you get out into the middle of this with little to no preparation, having skipped around in the course, no plan, I'm not going to be able to save you. Thankfully, what I can do is if you're lost in a program like this, we do have the option of scrapping what you have, right? Starting over, right? Starting over and developing something, developing something that will work, right? Your only chance. And thankfully, with program code, we can just come out of the wilderness. We can be yanked out of that wilderness and pulled back to the beginning in order to start over. And of course, in real life, you know, such options may not be afforded.